And is suing him for $100 million because of Shedeur Sanders falling to the 5th round of NFL draft.
Shedeur Sanders has a prime equity clause. The prime equity clause gives Sanders a percentage of all revenue generated from merchandise, sponsorships, and promotion tied to his name, image, and likeness.
Since Shedeur Sanders stepped into the NFL spotlight, it's been one legal fight after another. But this latest move has every owner fuming. Reports say Sanders just locked in a mind-blowing $250 million deal outside the league, and the NFL power circle is ready to clap back in a big way. Here's where the drama begins. On May 19th, 2025, the Cleveland Browns inked Sanders to what looked like your average rookie deal. 4 years, $4.65 million, the usual setup for a 5th rounder picked 144th overall. Nothing unusual on the surface. Until you peep the fine print. That's where the chaos was hiding. Buried in the paperwork was a clause so bold, it flipped the NFL's entire system upside down. Dubbed the Prime Equity Clause, it wasn't just a contract tweak, it was a full-on revolution. For the first time, a rookie wasn't just signing up to be another player in pads. He was stepping into the boardroom as a business partner. This clause hands Sanders a cut of revenue tied to his name, image, and likeness. From merch drops to sponsorships to promotional cash grabs. That's billionaire-type energy. Insiders whisper that the cut sits around 5 to 6%, and when you stack that on top of standard pay, it's enough to blow up the entire rookie salary system. Imagine getting paid not just for snaps and stats, but for every jersey, every billboard, every single ad tied to your face. That's what Sanders pulled off. And trust me, owners are sweating bullets because if this works, every player is gonna want the same deal. Now, let's size it up. Take Caleb Williams, the #1 pick by Chicago. He signed for $39.4 million with a fat $25.5 million signing bonus. Sanders? His guaranteed money barely cracks $447,000, with base salaries that slowly climb from $840,000 in 2025 to $1.2 million by 2028. On paper, it looks small time, but the Prime Equity Clause makes that comparison laughable. This is bigger than a signing bonus. It's a stake in the pie. Keep in mind, rookie contracts are locked tight under the NFL's wage scale since 2011, with barely any wiggle room. First-rounders even get a 5th-year option, while late-round picks like Sanders usually take whatever's handed to them. But instead of playing the same game, Shedeur flipped the script, and now the entire NFL is scrambling. The Browns might think they're playing it safe with Shedeur Sanders. After all, they can cut him after year 1 with barely any dead cap hit, making it look like a low-risk gamble. But that equity clause flips the entire equation upside down. This isn't just about base salary numbers anymore, it's about a deal so wild it's already cashing in big. Sanders' rookie jersey sales alone have exploded to a jaw-dropping $250 million, with his personal cut sitting at $14 million in commission. That's more than his whole 4-year contract, and bigger than what some seasoned quarterbacks earn in their debut year. What makes this even crazier is the way it's structured. Instead of dodging the NFL salary cap, the deal is framed as a revenue-sharing agreement, technically treated as business income, not player salary. That sneaky little detail keeps it airtight under the current collective bargaining rules. Insiders say Sanders gets 5 to 6% of all Browns' NIL revenue tied to his brand. Jerseys, sponsorships, merch, even digital promos. It's a blueprint that could rewrite the future of athlete contracts forever. And it doesn't stop there. The categories this clause covers are stacked: jerseys, slogans, apparel, merchandise, and every piece of digital content that carries Sanders' name. Suddenly, he isn't just a line item on the salary cap. He's a profit center. The Browns are making money off a 5th rounder, like he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, and Sanders is walking away with checks that dwarf anything rookies have seen before. But the most shocking twist? Media rights. Buried inside that deal is a clause giving Sanders full ownership of all his content. Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, you name it. That's unheard of in pro sports, where teams usually clamp down on every tweet and appearance. Now, Sanders controls his narrative, edits his own content, and still funnels revenue from those platforms back into the Browns system. It's a total role reversal. The team benefits from his clout, but they can't control it. The wildest twist of all? Sanders' contract even brought his family into the NFL machine. Thanks to a special clause, Deion Sanders Jr., Shedeur's half-brother, is allowed to roll with his own cameras, producing exclusive behind-the-scenes content as if he's running a media company inside the league itself. Normally, the NFL would shut that down instantly with copyright strikes. But Commissioner Roger Goodell himself had to greenlight this setup. That alone shows how off the charts these negotiations really were. This arrangement gives Sanders Jr. access to footage and moments other players could only dream about. Clips that would usually be deleted are now monetized under the Sanders brand. It's basically Shedeur turning the NFL into his own reality show while still collecting checks from the team. And then there's the money maze. Because the equity earnings count as business income, Sanders has to navigate taxes like a CEO, not a rookie. That means self-employment tax, sure, but it also opens the door to massive write-offs and investments, private jets for appearances, staff salaries, content production. All of that can be categorized as business expenses. It's complicated, but in the long run, it could make his financial empire untouchable compared to players stuck on standard contracts. Now, stack endorsements on top. Sanders slid from college NIL deals straight into pro-level partnerships without missing a beat. Nike alone could be handing him $5 to $10 million every single year, and that's just one piece of his empire. He's also got Beats by Dre, Gatorade, Mercedes-Benz, and Urban Outfitters in his portfolio. Each deal adds fuel to a brand that's already bigger than most veterans ever see in their careers. Put all the pieces together: the equity clause, the endorsements, the media rights, and Shedeur's first-year earnings could land anywhere between $18 million and $37 million. That's insane for a fifth-round pick. He's rivaling what seasoned vets pull in, rewriting what rookie potential even looks like in today's sports world. To put it in perspective, think about Michael Jordan's 1984 Nike deal. Royalties from Air Jordans made him more than just a player. They made him an icon. Or Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid, pulling 20 million euros a year just from image rights. Sanders is following in that same lineage, turning personal branding into generational wealth while still suiting up on Sundays. The gap between where Shedeur Sanders was drafted and how much he's actually raking in tells you everything. The NFL is no longer just about touchdowns and draft boards. It's about who can dominate culture. Traditionally, value was measured by on-field stats and draft slots, but Sanders flipped the whole formula. His contract proves that social media clout, branding power, and cultural influence can cash checks bigger than any scouting report ever could. And the irony? His draft fall might have actually set him up to win bigger than anyone expected. Dropping from a projected top 10 pick to 144th overall cost him around $44 million in traditional rookie contract money compared to guys like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. But through his groundbreaking equity clause and his massive personal brand, Sanders is now on track to earn more than both of them in his first years. That's not just a comeback, that's a power play. This is history in the making. Never before has an NFL rookie negotiated equity tied to their personal brand inside a team contract. Sanders' deal is the first of its kind, and it sets a template every rising athlete is gonna chase. It bridges the gap between the NIL world in college and the restricted paychecks of the pros, letting players keep monetizing their names while wearing an NFL jersey. For young athletes, this is the roadmap to never being just another employee again. And make no mistake, this wasn't just Shedeur pulling strings alone. His father, Deion "Primetime" Sanders, was at the negotiation table, making sure the family didn't just accept what the NFL handed out. Together, they didn't just sign a contract, they changed the system. But here's where it gets messy. This revolutionary deal didn't happen in a vacuum. The only reason Sanders was still on the board in the fifth round was because of one of the most controversial draft slides the league has seen in years. What should have been a top 10 lock turned into a nightmare as he watched 143 other names called first. And behind the scenes, whispers of collusion and coordinated pushback against him started swirling like wildfire. Before the draft, analysts had him pegged as Miami's guy at number 1 or Las Vegas's pick at number 2. His college resume was stacked, a 72.3% completion rate, 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, just 10 interceptions, capped with a 169.1 passer rating in his final year at Colorado. Those are elite quarterback numbers. Yet somehow, despite the stats and the spotlight, he slipped all the way down the board. And that suspicious slide became the fuel for what turned into the most disruptive rookie deal in NFL history. The money hit from Shedeur Sanders' draft slide was brutal. If he had gone first overall like many predicted, he could have secured a $48.8 million deal over 4 years, with a massive $32.2 million signing bonus. Even at the second pick, he was looking at around $46.6 million, with nearly $30 million guaranteed. Instead, landing in the 5th round left him with a modest $4.65 million rookie deal, a staggering $44 million difference. That's one of the most painful financial losses we've seen from a quarterback slide in modern history, right up there with Brady Quinn in 2007 or Geno Smith in 2013. But unlike those guys, Sanders came in with far higher expectations, making the fall even more shocking. So, what exactly happened? The theories are all over the place. On the football side, scouts flagged his deep ball accuracy as inconsistent, knocked him for holding onto the ball too long. He got sacked 52 times in 2023, and questioned if he could handle an NFL playbook after thriving in Colorado's simplified spread offense. Some went as far as labeling him a system quarterback, built for college schemes but not the pros. Harsh. Then came the NFL Combine. Physically, Sanders measured up fine, 6 feet 2 inches, 215 pounds, ran a 4.78 40-yard dash. But the interviews? That's where the whispers got loud. Reports said he came off too confident, even arrogant. Some execs didn't like that he talked openly about wanting control over franchise decisions, like picking coaches or offensive schemes. Anonymous GMs painted him as uncoachable, a red flag for team-first culture. But it wasn't just Shedeur's answers raising eyebrows. The Sanders family brand itself became a complication. Deion Sanders made waves with public comments suggesting Shedeur wouldn't play for certain franchises, especially in cold weather cities. That rubbed a lot of owners the wrong way. Legends like Kurt Warner and Chris Carter even called out the family for overplaying their hand, warning that teams didn't want the media circus that primetime often drags in. The message was clear. Drafting Shedeur meant dealing with constant noise, not just a quarterback. And then we hit the most explosive angle: the collusion claims. Some high-profile figures in the football world have gone public, accusing NFL teams of coordinating to tank Sanders' draft stock. Allegedly, certain franchises were willing to pass on his talent to avoid giving in to his demands or strengthening his brand power. If true, this isn't just shady business. It raises serious questions about league governance and even potential discrimination lurking under the surface. NFL legend Eric Dickerson dropped a bombshell when he went on the Robin and Rodney show and claimed he got word from a trusted source that the NFL straight up told teams not to draft Shedeur Sanders. According to him, the league wanted to make an example out of Sanders for treating the draft process more like a business negotiation than a humble job interview. Dickerson even said the Browns themselves were originally told to pass on him until an unnamed insider flipped the script and gave them the green light. If that's true, it points to a coordinated hit job, not just a few nervous GMs making individual calls. And Dickerson wasn't alone. Former MVP Boomer Esiason chimed in, saying multiple owners directly told their teams not to touch Sanders. Then ESPN's Stephen A. Smith took it up another level, comparing it to Kaepernick-style collusion and tying it back to resentment toward Deion primetime Sanders. Smith even mentioned alleged text messages and secret communications between owners plotting to freeze Shedeur out. That's some next-level scandal if it holds weight. Things got so intense that in May 2025, a Colorado Buffaloes fan filed a $100 million lawsuit against the NFL, citing antitrust violations, racial discrimination, and collusion under the Sherman Act and Civil Rights Act. The suit even demanded access to an alleged 61-page arbitration report on league-wide collusion against black quarterbacks. Most experts say the case is likely doomed in court, But the fact it was filed at all shows just how seriously some people are taking these accusations. Of course, critics argue Sanders didn't help himself either. Reports say he and his camp came into pre-draft meetings demanding guarantees on starting time, offensive systems designed around his style, and even input on personnel decisions. And the biggest red flag? His insistence on the prime equity clause, which scared teams into thinking he'd set off a chain reaction that could rewrite how all future contracts are negotiated. For owners, that was like opening Pandora's box. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next one.